All right, we're back here. This is from the Transparent Barrel Studios. This is Energy Boom 101. This is, I still want to call this Dispatch from the Patch 1. It's just part 2, because I've got to introduce the whole concept. And we gave you the quick skinny of how the United States has sort of exploded. Little natural gas explosions, now you're getting little oil explosions, and it's creating quite a reverberation. I want to go back and now take you from the concept of the natural gas explosion in the United States to what that's doing around the world. Basically, it's sort of doing two things. It's bringing a lot of capital into the United States, which this lovely little map demonstrates, so oversimplified. But it's also creating, which my understanding is a first time, liquefied natural gas market. It's creating an actual global market for liquefied natural gas, which did not exist because it wasn't really needed until the United States uncorked all the natural gas and realized we're getting it out of the ground for $3, and people around here and around here are paying about $18 for it, business incentive on, and now there is a huge market that is developing, but it's very early in its stages. And we're going to try and track that with a separate map. This map right here basically just shows the capital flow into Oklahoma, because a lot of the different oil companies throughout the world invested in Oklahoma publicly traded energy companies like Devon Energy and Chesapeake and Sandridge and Continental and for a while GMX. Side note, my qualifications and my credentials for discussing the Energy Boom 101, not a whole lot, A. And B, I did try and convince everyone and their dog to buy GMX at about $30 a share, and it's bankrupt. So, keep that in mind if you want to continue listening to me. I'm going to try and do my best to give you the facts as Mother Nature offers them up for interpretation. But we've talked about the energy boom in the United States that sort of opened up with natural gas, and then how that is opening up a liquefied natural gas market throughout the world. And we'll find another map for that eventually. That'll be Dispatch from the Patch down the road. But for now, I want to talk about a lot of the money from around the world that's coming into Oklahoma, which is just one of many states in the United States where money from around the world is coming into. And it started years ago, and it should last, I don't know, quite a few more years, I suspect. The beauty of a boom was that you know when it's arrived, you don't know how long it's going to last. But this one looks like it's got legs, is what they may say. I don't even have a clue what our time is, by the way. Where are we at, good man? 3 minutes left? That's beautiful. Only 3 minutes into it. God bless you. Only 3 minutes into it. I'm feeling good. We got 6 minutes to discuss money coming into Oklahoma. And let's just give you an oversimplified lesson, and dare I say it, it's not trickle-down economics, but maybe it is. When companies like Devon started uncorking the Barnett, other oil companies around the world took notice, because they want to learn how to do that. They want to learn how to get their natural gas out of the ground at $3. So they started investing in our companies for the knowledge as well as for the actual resource. I don't know if I'm going to remember all these and who they invested in, because I'm trying to keep track of Oklahoma City's publicly traded energy companies, and there should be a handful of them that we can try and sort of hold on to and just sort of watch them, just look at them every day and see where the share price settles at the end of the day, and you get a good idea of the wealth expansion or creation or shifting that is occurring. But China's the big boy in the world, and they've got 3 big oil companies called PetroChina, Sinopec, and CNOOC. I'm not so sure I know what any of them stand for. I think one of them is primarily a refiner. Maybe 2 of them are. And one of them is probably pretty big in exploration and production. But what you want to know is that the oil companies, the national oil companies, as you'll hear them referred to, NOCs, are the vehicles through which the countries invest and advance their energy interests, which is why this is such an enormous global chess match. It's really a lot like a risk game, but you don't want it to be that confrontational, because you're not trying to conquer countries. Everyone's trying to get resources, and there's a finite amount of it. The game's, as soon as the game shifts out of oil and natural gas, which I don't know, 2 years to 20 years, who knows, probably 20. Then the game will be in wind and solar, but the game will never end, which is as long as people need energy, we will all be scampering to acquire it. That's why this is probably a fun story to tell, because it's really just sort of happening right now, second inning. Also, there's going to be someone in this chair, we hope, someday, so I won't look like a complete idiot, which I looked like 12 years ago. And if we could get Alanis Morissette, you want to talk about ratings going through the roof. Let's get back to what we're talking about here. So, China has 3 big oil companies. They've invested in Devon through, I think, CNOOC. I guarantee you China did a joint venture with Chesapeake. So there's 2 probably Oklahoma City oil companies where you can see direct capital infusions from China. But there are other national oil companies. Believe it or not, I think South Korea has one. And they did a joint venture, I think it was Sandridge, a long time ago, which would be wicked to look into because it's a little off the whack. France, the Frenchies, God bless them, they've got Total, great oil company. They did a JV, Total did it with someone in Oklahoma City, Chesapeake, I bet. Amazing thing about Total, and I hope I'm not going to get sued here, I think they own the largest solar panel manufacturer in the United States, maybe. I think they do. We'll check on that, or we won't. But if they do, that's a great example of how the energy game is completely interwoven. Yes, Total's a big oil company, but they're also run by people that understand that capitalism, which is another side note we may try and discuss, calls the shots, and therefore when things make money, they jump into them, and so they know that, Total knows that eventually we will be a world that moves away from crude oil consumption for our energy needs, and natural gas will eventually probably give way to wind and solar. That's why Total probably, if this is all right, still owns the United States' largest manufacturer of solar panels. That said, there's other countries, Statoil out of Norway, probably I would bet a very progressive oil company. Just guessing from the culture. They did a joint venture, I think, with Chesapeake. Spain has a big oil company. They did a joint venture with someone in Oklahoma City. Continental in Oklahoma City hasn't done any joint ventures, but I bet they do, maybe. But you sort of get the gist here. Oklahoma City is one city of many cities in the United States that are receiving capital from the rest of the world for one reason: energy, to get it and or understand how to get it from their own home country. And that's what this map basically shows you. Now, what's our time? 20 minutes left? 2 minutes left? I want to wrap this. I'm going to wrap this down and call this part 2 of Dispatch from the Patch 1, because once we get over here, I think we'll complete the deal. Oh, I've only got 2 minutes. So look at this thing, and if you can't really see it, I apologize, but this is another map that we can use for the global energy rainbow. And that's basically going to be what you saw in the United States with all that money coming in is now happening in Greenland. And it'll probably happen in any other area that needs to have its resources understood and brought forth. It's also happening in Mexico. But what we're going to try and do with this map is anytime we see an article in the Wall Street Journal or the Daily Oklahoman, or who knows, you have to restrict the amount of content you want to chase. Trust me on this one. But anytime we see an article that references the global energy rainbow, we'll update this map. So one of these episodes here pretty soon, maybe even today, I don't know, we'll start the global energy rainbow. Even though it's already sort of been started with that map, and you don't need to spin, or if you want to, you can. Give me a spin. It'll be beautiful. Even though it's sort of started with this map, this is going to be the fresh map for the global energy rainbow. And then we'll also probably have a map. We'll probably have a map just for Oklahoma. We really need to do that because Oklahoma has a lot of plays, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of potential for people that want to think about that stuff. And we'll also have a map for the Symphony of Shale, and I'll explain that later. But it's going to involve following Auburn McClendon and a few others around this energy game. But I think that's going to be a wrap for it. And I think I feel really good about this. How about an ending shot of Boone League? If we can get it in, and if we can't, that's crazy. But once again, live from the Buchanan Street balcony, where I think the first annual bake-off will be occurring in the next 2 weeks, and we're going to bake a bunch of muffins, and then we're going to send them probably over to Owen Field, I think. Anyways, that's it for this, and this is still the dispatch from the Patch 1, but it's part 2, and we're going to shut it down. Thanks once again to my mom and my dad, and Ricky, Danny, and Johnny, and everyone else. 3, 2, 1.